Hi, I'm Graham.
And I'm Tannan.
We are Crystal Street Comics, and welcome to Thoughts from Crystal Street. Welcome back for another week of our thoughts. And I think we got a pretty good show today. We're going to be talking about something that's coming up in the near future, and it makes us a little sad.
Yeah, I mean it's sad because so far they've done such a good job, and we're just gonna have to wait to see how they manage to follow up. Really, we're talking about Jackman as Wolverine and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Father Time in real life keeps on creeping. It's not a comic book. They can't be eternally 30-ish. And the actors are now, Downey Jr. is almost 60.
Well, he's 50, mid-50s,
Yeah, and
but if he is in Secret Wars, he will be pushing 60 by the time that's released.
and Jackman's creeping up there as well. And Hugh Jackman is officially done after the Wolverine 3 movie. No, for sure, Robert Downey Jr. is done yet, but it's coming. And that brings up a question I see on the internet a lot, and that is, should they be replaced? I'm going to let you field it first.
For me, this is a no-brainer. I mean, if you're going to have X-Men movies, there's a reason Wolverine is the main character of the first X-Men movie, the second X-Men movie, pretty much the third X-Men movie, Days of Future Past, and then his own two movies. He is the most well-known, or at least most received, well-received X-Men mutant from the Marvel Universe. So yeah, Jackman has done a phenomenal job, but you need the character. If you're going to continue making mutant movies, he's in too much stuff.
Yeah.
A Wolverine has been latent throughout all of the Marvel universe for the most part, so you're going to need a Wolverine.
Somebody's going to have to take up the mantle, and the same goes for Iron Man. I mean, I know that Robert Downey Jr. just completely became that role. I mean, it was Robert Downey Jr. if he built himself a suit of armor, and so Tony Stark and Downey Jr. are so hard to separate from one another. But Iron Man's too big now in the Marvel Universe. He's not just an ancillary character. I mean, in some stories, he's a leader of the Avengers now. So you can't just, Iron Man's gone because this guy can't play him anymore. What I will always say in this argument is, do we not want any more James Bond films? We've always been fairly accepting of the James Bond changeover. Yeah, it doesn't always go so smooth. You know, we're going to get a George Lazenby at some point. But that doesn't mean that you just give up on it, because eventually you find Daniel Craig.
Yeah, which people were not thrilled about him right from the beginning, but he's arguably one of the best actors to play the role.
Yeah.
So if you need to do a Wolverine or you need to cast Iron Man, yeah, you might have that standalone, or maybe those two that don't work out. And there's your Lazenby or your Timothy Daltons that just it fit at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that George Lazenby then paved the way for Roger Moore that actually was in just as many Bond movies as Connery, if not one more. Granted, you also get Moonraker.
And The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, which was a fine movie. It was just, it shouldn't be 6 hours long.
That never ended. How? Okay.
But yeah, so you have these characters. It's like, Bond's been around for 50 years. Yeah, you have to have somebody. Eventually, the character will become a character, and it won't be Robert Downey Jr. Dressed up like Tony Stark, dressed up like Iron Man, and it won't be Hugh Jackman pretending to be Wolverine. You'll have then a character where you could then go to smaller, less well-known actors, or just actors that are still clearly doing their own thing and coming in and playing the character. It worked fine for Keaton as Batman. I like Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I was actually okay with Kilmer as Batman. I didn't think he made a very good Bruce Wayne. Kind of the same thing. There have been a number of Batmans. Some of them have been awful.
Yeah.
One of them was awful. I don't know if some of them. One of them was just terrible. Um, Again, that's a lot of Schumacher's fault.
Yeah, we don't really blame you, Clooney. 'Cause we know you're better than that.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, so Batman's already had a number of actors play Batman, and a lot of them have done a good job.
Right.
Bond, a lot of people have played them, done a good job. Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah.
a lot of people have played them, done a good job. If you want if you want to tell the story of the character, you have to forgive the fact that Downey Jr. is not going to always be Iron Man.
Yeah.
And you can't sacrifice the character because Robert Downey Jr. can't be Iron Man. Nobody really wants to see 65-year-old Downey Jr. still running around with. Well, I mean, they're going to have to recast them all. I mean,
yeah. Eventually, and that's the thing is when these comic book movies started going and really getting big, I remember people latching on and they're just like, oh, you can't replace these actors. You can replace these actors because these characters have existed long before these actors, and there's so much story to tell with them. The rate that they make movies, you can't tell all these stories. So you're going to have to become accepting of new castings. And I think a lot of people take a hard line with Iron Man and with Wolverine just because it's one actor so far. You know, I think when we hear, oh, there's a new Batman, there's a new Superman, we kind of go, okay, that's been done. I think because we don't know what the second actor who would play Iron Man or the second actor who would play Wolverine looks like at this point, we're more hesitant of it, and I kind of understand that, but at the same time, we kind of got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to happen. I mean, they probably, and I would have put it past Disney's Marvel. I guarantee you there's somebody at Disney's Marvel right now just looking through young casting, what are those things are called?
Yeah.
Headshots and their body of work. It's like, yeah, in 6 years, we're going to need a new Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need a new Logan. I mean, there are people, and I guarantee Disney Marvel's still looking, we're going to need a Logan because eventually Fox is
going to sell.
Yeah.
We're going to get them to do it.
Yeah. Enough bombs at the box office. And
yeah. We'll get
it will be theirs.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew going into this it wasn't going to be much of a debate because me and Tannan are of a similar mindset on this. It's just something that it's inevitable and it's necessary. It's both, really. It's got to happen and it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like as we prefaced at the beginning. Yeah, you might get some that I mean, the very first time they cast both Wolverine and Iron Man, it is not going to be well received.
Yeah,
I don't care who they cast. They could cast somebody that is Canadian and is only 5'4",
right,
and looks exactly like Wolverine and can act his ass off. It's not going to be Hugh Jackman, and people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
He can actually have a real adamantium skeleton with claws, and people are still going to be pissed that it's not Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And the downside is that actor might actually do a better job, but that actor I could see not lasting more than 1 to 2 movies just because that you have to have this intermediary between what we know and what we expect.
Right.
And this one, no matter how good they can be, will never be what we're accustomed to. So it will feel wrong, which is a shame. And the thing is, right now, Graham and I are nerds, but we don't have nearly the rage that should be beholden of us for our title as nerds. We are pragmatic nerds that we can kind of see around why things need to be done, and more nerd rage needs to watch this show.
Yes. We're Zen for you. We can be your Zen. Let our positive energy flow into you.
Yeah.
So,
well, to that, I would say the best casting right now, I would say Iron Man or Wolverine, because you can't do both, even though that'd be just Shia LaBeouf. Just get him from
oh,
sarcasm.
Oh God, no. Let me ask you this though, to put you on the spot. Can you think of anybody right now to fill either of those shoes?
As of right now, I think Iron Man would be considerably easier to cast than Wolverine.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, because the thing is, and we've mentioned, Downey Jr. doesn't act to be Iron Man, and just look at his body of work since he got off drugs. He plays the same character in every single movie. He is the entitled, better than you guy. That's what he's playing. He's playing it perfectly, but that was him in Sherlock Holmes. That's him as Tony Stark. That was him. That was him in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, just without the money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no names right off the top.
No, I don't. Again, because it's so ingrained of what they look like, it's hard for me to put somebody. And I'm trying to think young too, and there's not a lot of young Hollywood that I really like right now.
Yeah, and so the thing is, I would want Tony Stark to be in at least late 30s to early 40s, just because of his role with the Avengers and who he has always been. Tony Stark, pretty much since his inception, has always been the Howard Hughes, which once he hit the era where Hughes wasn't old, he wasn't young. So Tony Stark was built to be mid-30s.
Yeah.
Is as young as you can really go, and still make a believable Stark. Yeah. Wolverine's a tough one. Just because, and the thing is, Hugh Jackman does not fit the bill at all. He's too tall. He was too lanky. I mean, he looked way too much like Clint Eastwood in the first one or two. Now, once he did Wolverine, the second standalone, he was just a beast.
Yeah, he's kind of yoked now.
But yeah, trying to find somebody, and I'm not asking them to be a 5'4" or 2 or however tall Wolverine is, but to get that build of just wide, dense musculature that Wolverine has always been drawn. And that's also a thing. It's like pretty much if you're not Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, some of these characters, you gotta just understand they're comic books. They're drawn. The people don't look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and what's funny is you've also got Puck from Alpha Flight. What's up with all the Canadians in the Marvel universe being like short squares?
Yeah, I don't know if in Manhattan they just think Canadians don't grow above 5'5". They only go start growing out once they hit puberty. But
apparently you can't be tall in Canada. So
yeah,
Canada's full of short. But yeah, it's an interesting question. Maybe we'll go do ourselves some research and we'll come back with maybe a list of some kind. Who could possibly fill these shoes.
If you just want to populate our comments with who you think would be, we'll take all of them, because eventually Chris Evans can't be Captain America anymore.
Yeah,
and they're gonna have to continue. If they keep making Avengers movies or just Marvel Universe movies, Captain America's gonna be in it.
Yeah,
and Chris Evans likes playing Captain America, and
but
he wants to be acting. He doesn't want to do.
Yeah, he doesn't. He kind of wants to be done. So all these recasts are coming, people. We need to just be ready for it. I think that's our main thought. So that is our thought this week from Crystal Street. And so I'm Graham.
And I'm Tannan.
And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.